All right, well, here we are. This is going to be a really interesting set. So to repeat the sad news, for people who might have missed it, we don't actually have a semifinal and a final for Gold League after this. And the reason for that is because Dark and Sitaux just straight up could not play their quarterfinal, which would have screwed everything up. And we talked long and hard on what we could do. Decided to put all that extra prize pool just into these quarters and let these players, these promoted players, be able to show the world what they're capable of. And DracKen, I'm going to see if maybe Hardy can edit this in later. And I don't actually have my little button to press that's like call Hardy on this scene. But anyways, DracKen was a player that I had boldly predicted would be relegated. I didn't think that he would last in his group. And then he sent me a meme, which we'll have edited in later, regarding how he took that personally. And he won his group, a group that had Fire, Maudry, Sobek, Nilly. He won his group, thus getting a bye to the quarterfinal and then immediately granting his promotion into Platinum for the next season. And he's so happy about it, actually, that his draft name for his civilizations, I don't know why I'm looking at KingstoNe when I'm talking about DracKen, was Mr. Platinum. So he's pumped. He's pumped. He's having fun. Master Troll. Anyways, he's playing as the Vikings. Curious to see what he can do here. Very happy for him, by the way. I don't care about my predictions, really. What I care about is motivated players. And I want the scene to be better off because of Titans League. And if that means that I have to predict that someone's going to get relegated to give them slightly more motivation to prove me wrong, then so be it. Yeah, DracKen's a master preparer, man. I remember in Wondering Warriors Cup in January, he almost beat Hera. I think he lost 3-2. And obviously Hera's a massive name. And anytime I've seen this guy, he's always playing the game seriously, always preparing, and always working really hard. Anyways, KingstoNe now that we've talked about DracKen, KingstoNe, he was third place in his group or second place, I actually forget. But I faced up against this guy a lot on the ladder, and over the last year or two, he has had massive improvements. He is known for playing more open maps, whereas DracKen is known for more closed or hybrid maps. And KingstoNe is just a beast. He's an absolute beast. His group was the most competitive in gold, ended up making it out. I'm excited to see him up against the big boys next year. Huge for Mexico. I know we've got to have some Mexicans out there watching. He is by far your best player. And I think he has a lot of room to improve because, like I said, he's like 21, 22. So players like DracKen and KingstoNe, well, all the players who are going to get promoted, but in particular, like these young guns, we'll talk about more young guns and like Sebastian later on today. That's what Titans League was made for, right? Finally, these guys who have a ton of talent, they have an opportunity to go in there and say, you know what? If I do this next season, I'm with those big names. And then, of course, if it doesn't work out in the next season, they go down, they can come right back up, learn their lessons, and it's just like continuous opportunities. Content for us, but opportunities for the players, which has been the biggest thing about it. Now, DracKen is going for a drush. So DracKen is going for militia, and he knows his opponent has gone for the dock. And I've talked about this a lot with the Vikings. I do not like opening fast feudal with the Vikings in order to try and win water. I like taking the water with Vikings later on in the game. And seeing that there's fishing ships out here, he's deciding to go for the militia approach. And now he's actually going to go for his own dock, which is an interesting decision. And you do not get fire galleys with the Vikings. So trying to compete for water against a civilization that can go fire galleys is a little awkward. And I'll be honest, I don't know if I'm the biggest fan of adding the dock now, but we'll see what happens as KingstoNe will see the drush. And KingstoNe clicks up, and this is a really fast uptime. And everything I'm seeing here from KingstoNe's build seems like it's designed as he will lose a fishing ship to try and win water. Flaw says, I hope for 3-2 KingstoNe just so we can see him play 5 games. Hey, he's a really fun player. I think the thing that KingstoNe will have to improve on going into the next season will probably be preparation. And I say that because he is a very meta player. And I do believe he can beat big names with meta, but I don't know if he can beat big names with meta enough. Like someone like DracKen's going to be really fascinating in Platinum next season because DracKen already goes anti-meta and he likes those closed maps as well. So I don't know. I'm excited. And this series as well, right? You've got like the meta, like let's go water, double dock, against a player who tries some different things. Here comes a villager from Kingston. I'm going to assume this is going to be for a second dock. There's a second dock. And 2 fishing ships are still out there. But DracKen was able to kill one of them so far. And no sign from DracKen that he is going to be clicking up the feudal age, as he still actually don't know exactly what he's going to do. Maybe he will, actually, as he's heading over to gold. And I think the thing that will excite DracKen right now is that his scout and his opponent's scout is quite weak. In fact, they're both 2 hits away from going down. It doesn't matter. Oh, okay. Actually, I was wrong there. Sorry, it was 6 HP for both, so it would have been 2 hits there for DracKen. Wait, no, it was 6 HP at the start. So 3 plus 3 is 2 hits, and then 5 plus... Yeah, okay. It was 2 hits for both. It's just Kingston ended up getting the hit first. Fire galley will come out. Fishing ship is going to sail over here to stay protected. Meanwhile, it's just taking some water buffalo for food eco for Kingston as he goes to control the water. We have DracKen running away with the militia. And now DracKen's fishing ships are going to go down. So I'm not sure about the timing on his dock. Not something that excites me that much, but at least he did get some fishing from it. And we now see walls for DracKen, which makes sense because you don't know if your opponent's going to have a barracks yet. So I think you can assume that at least for now your opponent will not have the barracks, as it's 3 docks for Kingston. So I saw him play with Persians against Overtaken in Gold League. It was like their 3rd week. And highly suggest watching that series. Many of you guys might have seen Kingston versus Overtaken on the main YouTube channel, which was the Arabia game, Mongols versus Chinese. And God, I hope Overtaken makes it back to Gold League, because I think there's no way that he is in the bottom 2 of any of the other groups. He was just that good. Oh my God. Oh my God. Oh my God. DracKen could take the cows. DracKen, take the cows. Oh, he can't take the cows. Okay, never mind. But yeah, so in that game that I'm talking about, Kingston, or in that series, Kingston loved the Persians. I think it was Persians versus Celts in that game. And he did the same thing. He just went triple dock. Persian docks have tons of HP, so it's really hard to ever take them off of water, which is an underrated aspect and reason for picking Persians here, because sometimes you, even if you like give up water control, it's always your goal to redock. You might not have to redock with the Persians. Adding more fishing ships now to gain a food boost, but we have DracKen looking to go fast castle. And DracKen's not quite there yet, sadly, but I think DracKen's idling the TC to drop off the food, and DracKen, boop, goes up to castle. I went up to Castle Age with Market and Blacksmith. Anyone else notice that skirmishers on defensive stance are now chasing enemy armies across the whole map, or is it just me, question mark? I don't really use defensive stance ever. I'm sure there might be unique scenarios where defensive stance does make a difference, but I wouldn't actually be able to give you a lot of information there because I never use defensive stance. Look at DracKen. DracKen's going to try and sneak docks up. He wants to go for fire galleys here, guys. Or not fire galleys, sorry. He can't. I'm sure he wants to. He can't do it with Vikings. He wants to go for longboats. And how many times have we seen this? The player gains water. They're like, oh, look, I've dominated water. I'm a beast. And then they just cannot find the opponent's redock. In this case, I think Kingston could have maybe done a better job at looking for it. But yeah, 60 seconds away from the next age. DracKen's going to have 2 docks right now, uncontested. We will have Kingston arrive to the next stage with what I would consider to be a healthier economy. I'm sure some food will still need to be purchased, but if you look at the resources brought in, it's looking better and better for Kingston. But as Kingston just lost the scout somewhere, I apologize. I was looking at the resources. I heard the attack noise. I don't know exactly where that scout died. It must have been in here, right? Don't see it. Anyways, the scout goes down. So he still doesn't know about the docks, and now he's going to click up the Castle Age. But will he know he needs to make more ships here? So I'm the edge case of making skirms and putting them on defensive stance. Well, I know it makes a difference. Which may be helpful for some users, but I just don't know, like, what it does. Like, I guess the idea for you, from what your description is here, you're not a fan of how they're chasing armies. That you want them to stick to a certain location, right? Oh yeah, there's a scout. Yeah, thank you. Kingston doesn't know that longboats are out yet, which is a really bad sign. He's just adding this dock so his fish will be insane. But now he sees the longboats. So now, I think your play should be to make a lot more fire galleys. But he's only on 4 as it stands, and it's going to be 4 longboats for DracKen. DracKen's also going to add a second TC as well. So having a handcart for free, DracKen will mix in some farms. While also trying to snipe Navy. I'm not sure if I like the fact that Bodkin Arrow isn't in yet. I feel like I wouldn't switch into the second TC until I had Bodkin. But then again, getting that second town center up might be necessary if your opponents had all this fishing eco. Because there's 600 food for the opponent right now. Here go the longboats. I feel like things like guard and follow, I feel like those commands in AoE 2, they're ancient commands, right? And you see them utilized at a lower elo, but the way the units work when you use those stances is like very janky, very weird. I've always felt like they should maybe rework that. What do you guys think about that? So like if you were to use guard for units with trebuchets, it would like make a box formation around it or something. I don't know. Maybe that's stupid. Maybe that takes away from controlling units, which people would be against. Also, I'm kind of understanding not getting Bodkin Arrow at this point, right? 2 TCs, villagers pumping. Longboat numbers are looking awesome. We have careening, and we have War Galley on the way now for Kingston, though. So Kingston's not going to give up on water quietly. And while the fishing ships are going down, DracKen might not have that water control that he so desires if careening is in. Because careening gives you extra armor, plus your opponent doesn't have Bodkin. So let's see, you have, right now, you have 6 pierce armor, and the longboats have been doing 2 damage. Now you have careening, so you've got 7 pierce armor. So the longboats are just doing 1 damage now. Now, I think that works a little bit differently with longboats. But still, mixing in careening is a little rare at this stage of the game, and I think underrated. Look at this. And these longboats have nowhere to go now. And Kingston is going to add his second town center now. Does need to start mixing in the farming eco. Like, I think DracKen's job with the land boom becomes a lot easier. Because he transitioned nicely. He had horse collar, so his farms last a while. He's had a much better balance of things, and I think Kingston was relying on keeping those fishing ships alive a little bit longer. Yeah, exactly. So, since it's multiple arrows from the longboat, I don't know if careening... Like, obviously, careening is going to be helpful, but it's maybe not as helpful, you could say. Because of how the longboats work. But anyways, the docks are going to go down for DracKen, so the important thing that players normally look for now is they look for the stone. So I think he's going to send some villagers to stone here shortly. And then eventually he'll probably want to dock. And in order to dock, he'll want a castle on the shoreline. Kingston has the lead now, but it's deceiving. We'll look at the resources collected and see how close it is. I know it doesn't look like it is, but just wait. Wait for that food count to spike. You've got more villagers for DracKen. Plus, he's got those eco upgrades I mentioned. Something that I think would be really underrated here, and we also haven't seen a lot, but instead of switching back onto water, what about going for, like, fast Arbalest capped ram push on the sides? Maybe if your opponent drops a castle, then suddenly it doesn't feel strong, but still. Kingston also adding more fishing ships and heading to the middle for what I believe will be a 4th TC. That's a big boom. Persian TCs work faster. And so a 4 TC boom with Persians will get you maxed out on eco really fast. It also means you're not going to be floating food for a while because you're investing into all those villagers. There's a monastery now for DracKen. He'll obviously want to get some relics if he doesn't have access to the middle. There's the stone mining. And even catching up on other eco upgrades. I still just want to double check. See how this is closer now. The food count is getting higher and higher for DracKen. But obviously, Kingston's going to be farming and fishing. So Kingston should be able to catch up in that regard. I think the imp timing becomes very important, but then the castle positions. And, oh man, what a great decision here from Kingston. He's now going for... As, I'm pretty sure Ginger has a cat on the keyboard or is trying to walk and listen to this stream right now. We're getting a butt dial chat. It's all right. We have this about once a week. I always enjoy seeing that. Yeah, I like the siege push because we know that DracKen's probably going to want a castle on a shoreline. And DracKen's getting away with not having to make any other form of military right now. So this would force DracKen into something on land. Like maybe pikemen. I don't know exactly what you do. But if you go pikemen, you're spending food that would delay your imp time. So this is perfect. What a great decision. And it's not like the biggest thing ever. It's just one or two mangonels. But it just buys him so much more time, I feel. Can you imagine you're like going for a stroll trying to listen to the content. And then I say your name and you're like, oh, is that me? I like the monks to convert some fires, but that's really only going to last so long. And now DracKen sees this, and DracKen's probably like, oh, now what do I do? Now my whole plan has changed. I like this a lot, and I almost like it more than adding war galleys, which some players will do. They'll add war galleys on the shoreline, but even still, you can get a castle up further back. Is adding a spearman here. Kingston has probably ventured a little too far in here. DracKen's going to try and wall in front here, and he's going to get it. So well played from DracKen. It is impressive from DracKen, but also very predictable that that would probably happen at this level. So I think you could consider that a mistake from Kingston. Who has now distanced himself from his opponent with his eco. You see DracKen has more food and more wood, but the other resources are just climbing so much for Kingston. He's got so much control. Guys, this player's so good. He's outposting the sides. He's stonewalling the sides. Sees that gold now. He's got vision everywhere he needs to. There should be no surprises for him. And again, I ask, what on earth do you do with Imp now if you're DracKen? I think the original plan was to drop a castle on the shoreline to come back into it. But since the siege has shown up, suddenly that's not so exciting. But we do have a knight. Ooh, that's so smart. That is so smart from DracKen. What an addition. You rarely see that from the Vikings. He also hid the stable in the back. And now he could take out that mangonel. He also has his own mangonel. You can see Kingston's now... Oh, big shot. Oh, that was a huge shot. That was an amazing shot. Also, attack rounds the knight. He'll get him right here. Ah. Yeah, he's going to add monks here in a second, and now DracKen's a little bit desperate. DracKen's going to run this way. Kingston. He didn't actually finish his outpost, but he can see the castle foundation now. And now I think you have to rush Imperial Age if you're Kingston. And you know, obviously, you need to focus heavily on water. DracKen's a minute away from going up. Or being up. I think the castle will complete here. He's got enough villagers. Yeah, he's going to send everyone. Loses a monk instead of the villagers. That's fine. Yep, castle will go up. And then he's got the wood for the docks as well. And he's certainly got enough gold to work with, too. So I would just go dock like crazy here. And now there's a castle from Kingston, which shows me that he wants to go for a Trebboar. But DracKen, if he sees this, he will just go with trebuchets immediately. And there's not a lot that can be done against the trebuchets. So it's an interesting game. I think that Kingston and DracKen have both made the right moves in their situations. DracKen in early castle did a great job of taking care of the fish, but he didn't quite win the water because he had the eco lead. And then Kingston was able to surpass DracKen's economy throughout Castle Age, delay the castle, but not deny the castle and not deny the docks. So this is a great game. Persians also do not get bracers, so going galleons with them is a weak move. You would probably want to rely on only fire ships here, and that continues to be what Kingston will prioritize. 25 kills versus 17. I'm happy with how this game has flowed so far. I don't know about you guys. And here comes the Siege Workshops for DracKen. Also, Trebuchet's on the way. And yes, he's massing longbows. Also, important side note, he got the War Galley upgrade, which will upgrade your regular galleys and your demo rafts to War Galleys and then demo ships. So I think he wants to get potentially heavy demo. I don't know if he can afford it, but I think he wants to have demos because he knows he'll be up against fires. God, the resources for KingstoNe are just insane, though. I have to say, those resources. Holy, the only thing that he's low on, which I think could kill him, is actually stone. Because he will think he needs to repair now, but he only has 6 on stone. And he is sending more out to stone as we speak. But that's a really big deal. Also, there's a stone in the corner he could possibly scout. Dry dock coming in. You don't see that every day. Also, fast fire ship and chemistry, so he might want to go for bombard cannons. And DracKen has to be a little careful. He's created a choke point for himself, but that choke point could work against him, and this castle could be denied. Yeah, the villagers are in there. It's hard to see. But look at these fire ships just walk right in. They say, don't mind me. Here I am, and they should take out the longboats. That DracKen just doesn't have the numbers. Look at DracKen. He queues up 9 demos. And so the repairs are working for KingstoNe. They also could take out Trebs, possibly. More villagers are on the way for DracKen. But I don't know how many KingstoNers are in chat, man, but the hype about KingstoNe's been real. And as he will get destroyed by some demos, he is still holding this position, which has the crucial gold. And DracKen still has his trebuchets as well, which he'll be happy about. And he finishes this castle, which I'm sure he'll be pleased with as well. But the fire ships just continue to pump. It's so weird, man. The demos. Oh, it was such a good addition from him to get demos. Like, if he didn't get the War Galley upgrade for demos, he would be finished at this point, I think. Because the demos were almost more important than the longboats. But the longboat needs to be your killer unit, right? The demos prop up the rest of your units. This castle still stands for KingstoNe as he moves his trebs forward. He can't take out DracKen's trebs easily. DracKen's castle and the demos that keep coming out, they're doing enough against it. But wait a second, there's a mangonel there. Oh, this would be huge. He's running out of stone, too. If he could take him out now. Oh, it went down to the castle. DracKen focused it down. Demos! Boom! Took out 1, 2, and he could get all 3 with that. Dang. He's like, I can do that too, man. How do you like it? I can do that as well. Say goodbye to your trebuchets. And the castle's now gone down, which means the trebs will probably go down. And we have heavy demo for DracKen, but it might be too late, man. He does try and go in to take a treb. The trebs will now also focus on docks. DracKen should make a run for the trebs, though. Honestly, forget about the navy. Just go in and try to hit the trebs. Oh, also, did heavy demo get... I think he lost his heavy demo dock at like 99% there. DracKen taps out, but hold on. I just assumed it was going to come in, so this must have been really close. Okay, you ready? So look at the top right. There's the dock. And yeah, he loses it at like 5 seconds, but I honestly don't think that would have made a difference here. DracKen was thinking about a pikeman switch, but when your opponent has full water control, your opponent can get the relics, and your opponent can do an awful lot with that gold. You're going to have some problems here, and I think it was a good first game. I honestly can't question DracKen's approaches too much. I think that the only thing that was weird for me was maybe the dock and Dark Age. But apart from that, getting back on the water was strong. Remember what I had said, though, was the fact that he went for 2 docks and he didn't get Bodkin Arrow. I like it and I don't, right? Obviously, now he loses the game. So he might be thinking, man, I should have gone for Bodkin Arrow and really should have committed more to water. But the reality is he was able to get to Imp faster because he didn't get Bodkin Arrow and because he opted for the town centers. So that was honestly just a preference thing. But not a situation at all where I would say that he should have gone 3 docks and he should have committed more. It's just KingstoNe got all of his upgrades, played very smooth, very, very meta, as we said, and with 57 kills and 58 deaths, gets the victory in game 1. 45,000 resources collected versus 42,000. Again, very close game. We'll move on now to one of DracKen's home maps, which is, I think he has Houseboat, and I think he has Fortified Clearing. All right, so Houseboat game 2, DracKen. I've been keeping him in yellow because he opted for color 6, and I know color 6 and color 1 can lead to some issues for people. I mean, I don't even have color blindness, and I don't like those colors combined, so I can only imagine if you have color blindness. Malay for DracKen, which we've seen time and time again. Great fishing civilization, fast uptimes, real solid. And then Chinese for Kingston, which have been used on many other maps, but on the draft, we have Fortified Clearing, Serengeti, and then some other map. Was it Arabia, maybe? No, there's no way Kingston got Arabia. Can someone remind me what the other maps were? I forget Kingston's home maps. But anyways, the point is he's got some open land maps. And I think he's going to choose some other civilizations for that. But now, Chinese, there's not a lot of situations where they're not great. But I think they are very well suited towards Houseboat. It's normally rather tough to get the first Vil pumped out of your TC if you're Chinese. But on Houseboat, you have the instant shorefish you can take. But I think on Arabia, your best time you shoot for with idle TC time is like 22 to 25 seconds. And we have 14 seconds here, so you actually are creating villagers faster than on some of the other maps. So you keep your Vil lead, then cheaper techs, and they're very good. The other thing, too, is that they're just so good if it gets to the mid-game. And any map that's not super close, so... If I know DracKen, though, DracKen's going to go fast feudal and try and rush. I could be wrong. But feels like that'd be a good thing for the Malay to do here. Trying to rush up a dock on the opponent's pond. DracKen's certainly going to have some build orders. And I'm sure he's going to dock here in a moment between some shorefish somewhere. There's his dock. Yep, so you can take the shorefish on the outer ring. So it's even more food income, and then that's before you add your fishing ships. Atacama, thank you, yeah. John, Ganji... Ganji and Sebastian is going to be up next. So they didn't play. They'll be playing right after this series. When are Kami games? Friday. This upcoming Friday. We did Kami games Wednesday this week instead of Friday because I was busy yesterday. But actually, you shouldn't hold me to this because I don't know exactly what this week looks like yet. But usually it's Fridays and no other days. I mean, if I were Chinese, I would also be worried about the Malay having their water to themselves. Because the approach has been just adding fishing ship after fishing ship and then fish trapping. And we have the same conversation every single houseboat game, right? Like, both players could be incentivized to rush. You don't exactly want to sit back every single step of the way. I think I can make arguments for sitting back and being aggressive for both of them, though. Like, if I'm Malay, I don't think I would ever rush with my faster uptime. I think I would sit at home. I think I would add the second dock. This is a player style thing. And I would hope that they would arrive to me. And if they didn't arrive to my base, I would just add fishing ships. So basically what I'm saying is I'm a very boring player. Because it's the safest way to play it. But yeah, again, I think I would just play towards my civ strengths, right? And then Chinese... Your goal with Chinese is to get to the mid-game without dying. And so that's another reason why maybe you don't want to take the risk of going forward. Kingston sending 3 villagers. Oh, he's taking hunts. Okay, I was confused by that. That's interesting. Can't say I've seen that anytime soon. He's trying to scout to see what his opponent's up to. He knows exactly where DracKen is right now. But yeah, this is going to be a mill on the deer and then eventually the boar, which is actually quite nice. See if DracKen wants to send any villagers forward. Okay, DracKen's getting loom now, and he's brought his transport over here, so I think he's going to rush. Something that I would expect from DracKen. Yep, so the 2 villagers go into the transport ship. And so the key now, as these villagers run forward... You almost want to pull these villagers off of sheep. And even some of these villagers off of shorefish, possibly. Because you need 4 on gold. And then you need enough wood to make 1 or 2 docks on the front. And then you need the wood to be able to get the fire ships out. Like, he's going to be up super fast here. And then there goes Kingston. This is not slow. It's just really hard to be competitive with the uptimes of the Malay, which is, again, maybe why you lean more towards the Malay doing this. I got banned on CSGO. I play AoE 2 from the same Steam account. Would there be any negative effects? No, I don't think they're tied in together. I don't know why you got banned from CSGO, and you don't have to tell us, but they shouldn't be tied in together. That's pretty interesting. All right, so the dock's up already, and that scout already is making himself known. But DracKen didn't wall off his villagers, so KingstoNe's going to rush this down. And this might not seem like a big deal, but it actually is, because now these villagers can't repair ships. And KingstoNe should be able to repair his own ships. I also think DracKen wanted to get a second dock up. Okay, he's definitely going to try it. Running around. Transport ships here. I don't know why. Maybe just to like transport around or something. Now we'll have the first fire galley for DracKen. Maybe that's what DracKen wants. Is he wants to fight with the fire galley. Here he is. Okay. Good micro from KingstoNe. He kills the scout. And he now has to save a weak villager. And he runs away with that weak vill. Oh, don't tell me he saves that vill. Dang. Because he could hop in the transport. Saves the scout. Get the vill. Can't get the villager. Okay, so there's weak villagers running away. Great work from KingstoNe, but also great work from DracKen. Because DracKen now has one fire ship with another one on the way. Also, DracKen can take out the transport ship. KingstoNe, where are you going? Oh, no. You don't want to lose your transport ship. He's also towering here. And he sniped the villager. And the other villager could go down to the tower as well. Save the transport. He's let down a transport ship. That sucks, man. That's such a big deal. Now, it's also a big deal that DracKen can't easily repair his ships. So, KingstoNe should be able to win the water in theory. But look at DracKen. He's trying to come over here with his vill to get the repairs in. And so maybe I'm wrong. Wow. And I mean, these docks are pumping ships nonstop. And KingstoNe can't send any new villagers to go work on something. This is what I mean, right? Like, playing defensive has this risk. This has probably happened to me, and then I'm doing no damage to the opponent's eco with this type of approach. Cannot stress to you enough how important it is that this villager was saved. Okay. Also, Chinese demos have more HP. We very rarely talk about that as we see a third dock from DracKen. Could probably see some demos here soon, but we're not seeing any just yet. I wonder if it's worth it in these scenarios to send forward another villager so you have 2 repair villagers. Like, KingstoNe has infinite number of repair villagers. Or not infinite, but like the villagers that come out of this TC are immediately repair villagers because they can't work on any jobs. Oh, and the dock was deleted by DracKen, but wasn't that also at like 200%? 200%. Like 20%. I don't even know. Sorry, my brain isn't working. Oh, God, DracKen's destroying. Maybe he feels like he doesn't need the other docks. Oh, this is so good. So the stats might not show it right now with 5-5 KD. Okay, now he's making a dock here. I'm very confused. I liked the third dock when he did it. I don't know why he's now remaking one. Maybe that was just a misclick. Oh, demo. DracKen. Whoop! Into the TC. Oh! Only one villager died, and now they have to hop over her carcass to repair this ship. Alright. Yeah, I liked the third dock when I saw it. It's now delayed, obviously. Tough thing is, that is the only villager that can do stuff like that, right? It's the only villager that can build. Only villager that can repair. And KingstoNe's getting annoyed by this. Like, what do you do about it? I guess you just sacrifice some vills, but I don't know, man. Also, your gold's kind of being ranged as well. This is painful. It's not like he can't take this gold. He is actually on that gold as well. The lack of demos from KingstoNe has been concerning because he fell behind on water. Normally, you need to show up with demos if you've fallen behind on water. And he's got like 10 villagers underneath his TC right now that just cannot work on anything. And there's a demo. And there's a transport ship. Okay, this is a nice moment for him. So still needs to repair, as they're still trading somewhat evenly here. Villager died for Kingston and his market was denied. So DracKen's all over it. 99 KD. Now, we haven't looked at DracKen's eco, but in theory, I believe he's collected more in the way of resources here. Yeah, it definitely has. And he should know how inefficient the eco has been for his opponent. That's the resources collected, though, which is wild to me. This map just doesn't make sense sometimes. This guy had like 15 villagers not collecting resources, and he's still okay. Yeah, now like getting the transport earlier was huge for DracKen, but now it's still just like control the pond, control the pond, control the pond. What I would have liked to see DracKen do is like squeak out more fishing ships and maybe even a second dock over here instead of a mill. I would have preferred a dock, take the shore fish. Your fishing's more efficient. But like 80% of his focus is here, and he's not like that. He's gained a lot of benefit from that, right? Not going to want to be less effective on the front just for a slightly more efficient economy. Kingston does a great job hopping in and out of town centers. There's that one clip from like a month ago when he played Overtaken where he hopped in and out of his TC with those monks. I put it on my shorts channel on YouTube. It was insane. He's really good at that. Like right there again. Whoop, right into the TC. There's a lot of weak ships here for DracKen. This could swing. The repairs will come in for Kingston, and the TC should be helping a little bit. Demo? That demo really didn't want to do his job. Okay, I guess that kind of works. Then you got a demo here. Bam. That kind of worked. Meanwhile, 400 food for DracKen, who does not have the KD lead. And somehow this is a game, man. Can't explain it. Houseboat does it to us every time. Messy games still somehow ends up being even. DracKen desperately wants to get to Castle Age faster. Like, I really think he doesn't want this game to go late, and I wouldn't either. I think Chinese are so much better if the game goes late. What's the elo of these players? These players are like 2,300, 2,400. Something along those lines, depending on the day. And depending on the map pool. There's the dock from DracKen. Again, I like this. And then you can use some of that excess wood to add more fishing ships here and eventually fish trap. The key for him, though, is to get to Castle Age and get those water upgrades soon. As he demos a demo there, he needs these docks to be up. Making it to Castle Age without your docks up would be a painful, painful occurrence. What's Viper's elo? He's like 200 elo. He's really not that good. But maybe he'll get there someday. That's also sarcasm. He's like 2,600. So you've got the Gold League guys are like 2,300 to 2,500. The Platinum guys are like 2,400 to 2,600-ish. There's definitely a certain point where the elo doesn't necessarily matter, right? It comes down to tournament performances, and I think both players have shown that. But they've obviously had some great peaks with their elo. So, 10 seconds until War Galley comes in. So here's what's key. You use your at-home docks to research War Galley. That way your forward docks produce. He's got a lot hidden in these ships. And he's actually using the forward dock for this. I hate this. Now, I think he's still in a great spot, potentially, but that's a really big deal. You need your... Like, these docks are not doing anything else. They need to be the research docks. That way you could produce. Like, he's got a ship queued up behind the War Galley upgrade. That shouldn't be a thing. So that's a slip-up from DracKen. And that could be the difference between him winning the game on water here or not. And here he comes with some demos, and he's going to use these demos pretty effectively. Very effectively there. And has this fire galley taking out the fire there. Also has the fire galleys coming out here now. His opponent's still 90 seconds away from clicking up. And this is a lot of pressure right now on Kingston. Who should recognize, though, that DracKen is a bit of an all-in player, right? Like, he should know in the back of his mind that DracKen probably used the market for some of this. DracKen actually just ran out of gold and didn't realize, so he had to sell some wood to get some gold to keep producing ships. And that's another thing that's going to hurt DracKen here. He's running out of gold. And this is because all of his focus has been here, like we said. Oh, I wasn't sure if that demo was actually going to go off there. But yeah, Kingston finds himself okay in his pond. Kingston finds himself with plenty of stone to maybe drop a castle somewhere. And DracKen's got nothing else, guys. He's just bought the stone probably to add the second town center. So he'll shift more into the defensive outlook in Kingston. I'm looking for Vils right now. He's going to drop the TC. He's going to get his own water upgrades. And so this turns out being a very even game in the mid game because Houseboat is perfectly balanced with no exploits. 56 pop versus 55. God, is this map good. So after like WWC, there were always people like, oh, I didn't really like Houseboat. And then leading into TTL, oh, I didn't really like Houseboat. And we've had more and more people like, wow, this map's actually really good. Like G90, you're actually really right on that. From an entertainment standpoint or even just like a meta standpoint. Or a competitive standpoint, it's a good map, man. So glad I thought of it in January, because it was always a forgotten map. Like, it'd been played way in the past, and Dave and I were brainstorming on maps. I was like, dude, what about Houseboat? Because originally, Wandering Warriors Cup was going to be, like, Dave was like, well, what if we do a Nomad-only event? And then I was thinking of maps, and I thought of Houseboat, and then it was like, ooh, what if we do transports and Nomad? And then we began to talk, and that's where WWC came, and then Houseboat obviously was so good, I wanted to bring it back for this. So it will be 3 TCs for both, as they both continue to make ships in this middle area. But I'll tell you what I don't like. I don't like the lack of fishing right now for DracKen. Now, he might start to think about that as he deletes this town center. So he'll actually only have 2 now. I don't like that either. That tells me that maybe he's struggling to have the APM to handle everything that Houseboat requires. But yeah, you would think that the Malay player would have fish traps right about now instead of having only 4 fishing ships. That scout for Kingston did go down earlier, so he doesn't know what his opponent's up to, and I think he's always going to be paranoid that there might be marchers or siege showing up, so he's just chilling out for now. Because he'll drop the monastery, but Kingston showed in game number 1 how good he is against the group winner, DracKen, who 3-0'd Fire. That was the biggest result, by the way, is the fact he 3-0'd Fire in his group. Because he could have been, I think he lost a series. I forget who he lost, like what the series loss was. I think he was 4-1. I think Fire was as well, obviously, because Fire got 3-0'd. But yeah, the fact that he 3-0'd Fire was just insane, combined with beating almost every other player. 4 TCs now for Kingston. Yeah, I got sidetracked. I was talking about DracKen and 3-0ing, and I forget what I was talking about before. But he's going to get gill nets now. He's now adding the fishing ships. And I think it's just, can you manage adding the fishing ships while doing everything else? That's why I didn't like the fact he didn't have the fishing ships here, but he was focusing on a million other things, and now he's finally thought of it. That was a crazy amount of pressure, right? Like, the Veleza and Vinchester final game on Houseboat, which was ridiculous, showed another crazy occurrence where something goes horribly wrong for one player, and then it can still go horribly wrong for the next and still somehow be balanced on this map. Like, we have transport ships going down. We have fishing ships being lost. We have 0 counterattack situations. Like, Kingston did no damage to DracKen this entire game, and yet he's in the lead. So, now, you know, different things can happen here as we have a knight from DracKen. DracKen kills a villager there. But yeah, this map has impressed me as we see the 5th TC. Okay, so if you build this TC, I think you delete this one. Like, now I like the idea of deleting the middle TC because you've got enough on land. But DracKen says, who needs TCs when I can just use the docks kind of like TCs and just produce fishing ships for fish traps? And DracKen's on the way to imp right now. I do not like how he's making the archer ranges right next to his opponent's outpost, though. It could be mind games. Like, hey, this is what I'm doing. Be very afraid of me. That's a great outpost there from Kingston, as he's just kind of taking the relics, trying to take this game late. He actually just was able to convert a knight there. And now he's adding a barracks. Obviously, if he looks, he can see his opponent's adding ranges. That would terrify me, though, if my opponent was melee. Also, I think, you see how he's researching handcart? I think you should use, I guess he deleted it now, but you could use that middle TC for the researches. Melee are crazy with the faster imps, excuse me. Man, DracKen, you need gold. That's been a consistent problem for him. I guess he's got gold here. And then he's going to take some gold there. And he can maybe take the gold in the front. We might even see additional docks for him as he will get this castle up. He reaches imp. He doesn't have a castle yet. He doesn't even have crossbow yet. He doesn't have a single ranged unit from his ranges yet. And now he adds a town center. Meanwhile, you know, Kingston's going to be like, oh, well, okay, we need to get up to the Imperial Age here. Has a crazy economy. And we'll see this monk here as well. He's actually going to lose a monk to a conversion in this situation, I think. Because the monk will turn and convert a Vil, but it, for some reason, it didn't right away. Okay, never mind. Yeah, I like the positioning of the ranges. This area, obviously, a real troublesome spot, though. As we could have trebs from DracKen. DracKen might make a treb. He rushed chemistry. He still hasn't showed anything from his ranges. He's getting conscription now as well. I mean, getting a big ball of bombard cannons could be strong. I don't know. This is fascinating. Like, if I were in Kingston's position, I would go skirms. Because I have a lot of eco. I'd go, like, skirm arbalest. Because I saw the ranges, and I know the situation, right? He's probably going to go arbalest. But we're not seeing that from DracKen. He's actually going to go for his own skirms and bombard cannons, I think. And docks. This is where it's good you haven't really invested into fish traps if you're Kingston. Because you don't want Navy to ruin your day. And now we have more ranges for him. 31 kills for both. Both players with different types of map control, right? Bodkin is very late for DracKen, though. And he might actually end up losing this dock here. Yeah, he's still going to lose the dock because he doesn't have ships coming out yet. And he doesn't have bracer. Always possible he could repair there. Also, Scout here. Just attacking some villagers that probably needed to be more efficient than they are anyways. Sneaky TC from Kingston in the corner. And Kingston, he sees the skirms now. Now he should be concerned. He's still a minute away from imp. Man, it took DracKen some time to get rolling here with his army production. But the difference in the upgrades and the types of units that are being created still is insane. He's had so much time. And he's got the superior skirmishers, though he doesn't have bracer yet. And he has bombard cannon, which was one of the few things that the Chinese cannot go for. Finally, that scout will go down in the corner. We have an additional blacksmith for Kingston, as he's now probably thinking like, okay, he's not going to push this corner. We'll farm back here instead. But yikes! I think we watched him place the farms, and then he just lost a bunch of skirmishers. So what's so cool about DracKen's opening is he showed Arbalest. Like that's what I would assume every single time is Arbalest. But it's not Arbalest, it's skirms. So now you're ahead of in the skirm race, and Kingston's like, well, dang, I wish I would have gone stables instead of 7 archer ranges, and I wish I would have opened with Cavalier or something that counters skirms, but he just didn't expect skirm. So I don't know if like DracKen used the outpost being there as a tactic to just force his opponent into skirms and then counter it with his own skirms and bomber cannons, but because, like, if you open skirms immediately and he sees it, he's going to go Cavalier instead of ranged units. It's very interesting. Now all you do, because you're committed, is you hope to have more upgrades than your opponent, and you just make your own skirms. And then eventually get into Cav as well, ideally. But again, you don't get bomber cannon. Now the upgrades are coming in, though. Chemistry, bracer, armor, so they're going to be even on skirm numbers. The production could be pretty good here for Kingston. He's got this random trebbing stuff down. That won't do too much right now, so it's all about focusing in this area. And DracKen's banking tons of resources right now. Could even consider going for No way. He's actually doing it. Elite Karambit Warrior. Interesting. Malay do lack the killer unit. They don't have like a real strong tanky unit except for their elephants, which I think are underrated and definitely have their moments. But Karambit Warrior from a forward castle feels a little awkward. But he is adding a third TC now, and his eco's not bad. It's not like this is an all-in approach from him. 123 villagers? Honestly, especially with Malay because your units are so cheap, I think you can even stop there. Bombard cannons have definitely paid off here. And the skirm opening I've liked a lot, but still DracKen hasn't been able to kill the Mexican. And we have the Cav, the inevitable Cav switch coming in from Kingston. And this is something that you should expect if you're DracKen. And he's going for Karambits, but he's showing Karambits before he gets the full armor upgrade. Remember, the Karambits cheap. You can spam them quickly, but they are very low HP. I actually think like Cav... Cavalier. Okay, yeah, he's going for Cavalier. Cavalier should be pretty good against Karambit Warriors. But it's all about the time. Meanwhile, we have a castle here from Kingston. You can tell he's eventually going to want to build up to take out this castle. And now he needs to defend this castle as he's researching fortified wall. Interesting research to get. I feel like masonry should be researched. I don't know if he misclicked it. He doesn't have that many stone walls. I think masonry would be the better play here. But I'll hold the phone. He's got good Cavalier numbers coming in. The Karambits are just melting. And if you're losing your unique unit to skirmishers, that's always a bad sign. And the bombard cannons are going to go down. Dang, man. What a hold from Kingston. And now he's at 200 population. I think DracKen has to focus all of his attention towards the middle here. And I'm just not liking DracKen's position the more I look at it. I would have preferred he actually go... I liked the range units. I would have said switch into Arbalest with your skirms and with your cannons. I think that would have had more of an effect. Wouldn't have taken as much time to get to. Because only having 2 castles feels like a very weird spot for Karambit Warriors. Now, Kingston, if he's a patient boy... He's going to build up like 3 or 4 trebs over here and just wait for the time to strike there. And DracKen, he's going to drop more buildings. DracKen is going into Arbalest now, so that's that mix that I would have preferred to see. Still has plenty of resources. Also, reminder, there's only 1 relic on this map, and Kingston has it, so that's something. Yeah, I just... If you're going to go Karambit Warriors, I think you need the castles, and I think you need to have the constant reinforcements, because part of what makes that unit so strong is just how cheap it is, and how fast they create, and how many of them you can mass. Low numbers of Karambits is not normally going to cut it. Here comes some trebs from Kingston as he wants to push back in this area. This Arb Skirm Karambit ball is actually pretty dangerous now, though. Because Arbalest do significant amounts of damage to the Cavalier and the Light Cav. So this could work out. Also, we have a raid, though. This is something DracKen will have to deal with. He's dropping castles and barracks at home, so he knows. He did complete this castle, though. Kingston still hasn't pushed back any of those castles in that position. And now DracKen, as he's dealing with the raids, is pushing through the middle. It's 180 population versus 180 population. And there's still plenty of resources for both. But suddenly, DracKen swings and takes the score lead here. And the raids actually have not accomplished that much from Kingston. It was a really good idea, but great job from DracKen to defend from it. In the end, I think Kingston sees the direction this is going, and what a difference Arbalest made. What a big difference Arbalest has made here. But both players are going Skirm Arbalest now. Like, both players are starting to mix that in. DracKen, confident enough, is going to drop another castle. And man, he's taken a lot of gold and a lot of stone from this forward region. Like, I think he has more access to stone and gold than his opponent here. And we still have yet to see Kingston ever be able to take this out because he's focusing everything here, guys. And he just can't get the numbers out. DracKen's got a constant queue of skirmishers. He has 18 Arbalests, which is around the same as what Kingston has. And DracKen's actually going for the kill here as his trebs will swing over to this castle. Kingston has to dedicate all of his push here, all of his focus. The Cavalier play was short-lived. I guess this castle could go down. Good work from Kingston. He's stonewalling this because he knows Karambits could come in there to take the trap. That's so huge. DracKen might still be able to get it, but he has to go a lot further now. Now has to repair this castle, though. So both players are repairing castles at separate spots of the map. And DracKen might end up losing 2 castles. And Kingston might lose 0. Look at this. This castle could go down. This castle might stay up. Still no masonry, which is so painful. And there's Karambits in here, guys. But yeah, this castle for DracKen will definitely go down. This castle for DracKen will go down. This castle for Kingston could go down. The Light Cav aren't in a high enough number to take out the trebuchets, or are they? Oh, he might get 1. He gets 2. No way. No way. He's going to keep his castle up. And the army count's now higher for Kingston. And this castle will still stand, and he might take out this treb now. No, what a crazy hold, man. DracKen's got a bomber cannon, though, to snipe the treb, so he'll keep his castle up after all. But he is losing his arb ball. Dang, what a moment. What a crazy fight this is. But yes, 3 trebs lost for DracKen in the end. And DracKen's streaming. You could tell he's struggling a little bit with the Karambits again, because he's streaming in his reinforcements to the middle, but he's already lost the middle. So his reinforcements are getting poked down. And Kingston says, thank you. I'm running low on gold. I need that gold. And what he needs to do is take this out. Like, the fact that his opponent's taking all this gold is really going to hurt him. And he also could use stables on this side so he could send Light Cav in against the cannons, but it's not so easy. He does have the wood, but I mean, he really is focused here at the moment. Light Cav could also spread their wings to fly, but we've got walls for DracKen. But as I've talked about, the Chinese are just the more flexible civilization. Malay really need to get a death ball rolling of like 80, 90 military and go for the kill, because pretty much everything the Malay are good at, the Chinese are good at it, with few exceptions. Which is exceptions are the bombard cannons. And then I'd say if the game gets really late with no gold, maybe you give the edge to Malay, but still having 2-handed swordsmen that don't cost gold, it's not really that strong if the opponent gets fully upgraded Light Cav and can make a few arbalests mixed in. 2-handed swordsmen, as I've said for years about that bonus, there's still 2-handed swordsmen. It's still not great. Love the combination of skirmisher, arbalest, Light Cav, and how many Light Cav are constantly in queue for Kingston. But he really needs to try and focus down these cannons now. DracKen desperate to hold on to this position. He feels like if he loses this position, the game is over, and I don't blame him. Look at Kingston's micro. He was chasing down those arbs the whole way through. Now, of course, he's going to lose a bunch of arbs to the bombard cannon, so maybe his micro is not so good, but he's got his castle. He still has more reinforcements. He's now going for capped ram. They both have the same Vil count, and they both do have upgrades they could catch up on. I think the important one that's missing right now for Kingston is Blast Furnace. It's not really that big of a deal to not have Blast Furnace, though, if you're DracKen. At the end of the day, he's not really making that many Karambit Warriors. Obviously, every little bit will count, though, as Kingston's Light Cav will snipe that cannon, and he can snipe this Treb, and he has his own Trebs here. He won't take the Treb, but the big thing with no cannons for DracKen is that these Trebs cannot be contested. I think this is over. Wow, what a crazy hold from Kingston. And I know early imp was a little slow for DracKen. Like, maybe he rushed imp too fast. But honestly, I felt like the way he was playing it was great. Castle positions was awesome as well. But this went from 0 to 100 once Kingston was able to get those stables down. And Light Cav Arb Skirmish looked so freaking strong. And the Malay are just stuck here, man. They're making Karambit. And I don't think we ever saw the Karambits look good in this game. Right? It always looked like maybe a waste of gold. And you pick Malay to rush the water. DracKen did that. He did it in Feudal. He did it in Castle. And then you pick Malay to kill an early imp, and he did that as well. And Kingston still stands, man. There's a lot of Kingstoners, as we've been calling them. A lot of big Kingston fans out there. And he deserves all the hype he can get, man. I'm very impressed. I don't see any way back for DracKen now. DracKen's got to be shaking his head like, are you kidding me? Because he was so close. He was so close so many times, too. This is just an impressive victory. There's no other way to say it. Trebs will loop over this way. DracKen, though, smart move, deletes his walls. He saw this. So he's going to send Karambits there to the gold. We'll see if the Trebs will stick around. But, I mean, he's still just losing so much ground over here. He's really trying with Karambits now. Production from these castles. Production from this castle. Production from this castle. Yeah, I think Karambits is best bet, honestly. At this stage it is, because he can't make... The skirmishers aren't going to cut it. And he doesn't have archery ranges, really, to make Arbalest. So you might as well try with a big wave of Karambits. This will actually be the first time we've seen, like, 50-plus Karambits go into an engagement. And maybe this is where they start to shine a little bit. KingstoNe was able to save the Trebs, by the way. And he really needs to click the Siege Ram upgrade. Not having Siege Ram right now is definitely going to hurt him. Especially when you have the food for it. That's got to be something he's thinking about. Could always be something that he thinks he's researching right now. And he's just waiting for it to change. And then when he doesn't see it changes, he will tweak it. Masonry on the way. As DracKen's not finished yet. But the Light Cab aren't finished either. And they go in and take one of those Trebs. DracKen's got more, though. And DracKen's Karambits are not looking insane. Yeah, it's got to be like your main unit, I guess. You have to fully pop up with Karambits. I love this, though. Look at the Karambit warriors. So clearly the gather point is set to that main fight. And DracKen's focused on that. So a lot of the Karambits are going right into the castle fire. Also, I love the ram on the dock there. But oh my god! What? Who said Karambits suck? What? That's so many. Don't tell me DracKen's not finished yet. The skirms should tickle these things. It's the Arbalest, I think, that really matter. And DracKen does have 0 on gold at the moment, I'm noticing. So, if he doesn't push back the castle fast, this could be an issue. But dang. He still has 50 of them. Oh, no, 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 no. Oh, that's so sad. That's so sad. You know, he like put his castles on a control group and is trying to send everything here. And of course, that castle decided to make the Treb. KingstoNe getting murder holes now. Oh, if DracKen would find that gold in the south, what a big deal that would make. What a big difference. Because there's not a ton of gold remaining, right? Like, there's a little bit, but there's nowhere else is there 4 tiles. Oh, God. He'll never think it's there. And honestly, I think the correct play has happened from KingstoNe. He just goes for all the techs he can to hold this castle, snipes the trebuchets every time he sees them, and then you just rely on Arbalest, and you just have no need to make any more skirms. He's now sniped the trebs from DracKen. The DracKen will run directly into the Arbalest and the castle fire. He has no way to take out the castles. He's now starting to lose this castle. Castle here has 20 kills for KingstoNe, by the way. KingstoNe's going to wall this up to protect that gold. And he doesn't need to do this, right? Like, I think he could just raid with the light cab, but look at this. Fortified gates going up in front of his trebs. Fortified walls going up in front of his trebs. And again, I have to restate, even though DracKen almost won this game and then almost, you know, turned this into a comeback, I am so impressed with this player. When he's in Platinum next season, I'm going to be rooting for him so hard. And of course, it's like, even though we're talking, you know, the difference between the top 24 and the next 24, which doesn't seem like it's a lot. It's just a different class of player in Platinum, you know? Like, the top 20, or let's just say the top 16 that stayed alive in Platinum, those guys are so ridiculously good compared to everyone else in the world, but I mean, KingstoNe goes up 2-0 here. Now, DracKen might reverse sweep this for all we know. Obviously, DracKen deserves all this praise as well for winning his group and dominating in Titans League, but God, what a sick game from KingstoNe, though. That was unreal. Could have died in Feudal, Castle, and Early Imp. Survived every single age, ended up getting the victory. Also, we did know, right, that Melee's more power spiky, and DracKen played directly towards those power spikes. I wonder if he doesn't go Elite Karambit, and he goes for the ARB switch with the skirms and the bomber cannons if he ever loses the 4 initial bomber cannons, and how this game goes, because I think it's, of course, easy to say now that what he didn't work, but it just didn't really feel like the time to go karambits. I just think he looked and he said, oh, okay, I have 1,500 food and 1,000 gold, so what else do I spend it on? Which I get, right? Like, you've got, what else you can spend it on? I think you save the food maybe for any additional skirms, and you mix in ARBs with the cannons. Because once he lost the cannons, it was a big problem. Anyways, here's the look at the KD. 661 kills, 541 losses. And both of these players are in platinum already. Both these players are already top 8. This is their final series in gold. And wow, the resources collected there as well. But doesn't this tell you there is a bit of an issue with the Malayan late game compared to Chinese? I guess there was a big difference. Like, DracKen had a ton of golden wood, but he wasn't really able to use the golden wood near the tail end there. So we've got KingstoNe in the blue playing as the Bohemians. In the yellow, we've got DracKen. The previous series was 2-0 and looking good for one player, and then it ended up going to the 5th game. We had that happen multiple times, actually. We have had, what do you call a failed reverse sweep? Where if, like, you lose 3 games and then win 3 games and then lose the 7th game, or if you do that with 2 and 2 and 1. What do you call that? An almost sweep? I don't know what word we should use for that, but anyways, we've had instances where it has been 2-0 and then it's gone to the 5th game, or it has been 3-0 and it's gone to the 7th game. That's happened a lot. And DracKen's got his home map here in Fortified Clearing. And he's got some solid civilizations planned for the future maps. We'll see. You call it a mop? Okay. I don't know. That might confuse people, but I'm kind of okay with it. Also, you know where my brain went? Did you guys ever see the old Weird Al movie, UHF? It's from, like, the late 90s. Super cheesy movie. Anyways, there's this character in that movie. His name is Stanley Spadalski. And he's a janitor, and he's in love with his mop. And so I just thought of the poor Stanley, so. And I think that actor actually is the guy who ended up being Kramer in Seinfeld. Like, in his younger years. I think that he was... Oh, shoot. No, the Seinfeld was also in the 90s. Oh, so that Weird Al movie was late 80s? Okay, that makes more sense then. So the Weird Al movie was late 80s, and then Seinfeld was in the 90s, and then he looked a bit older there? Yeah. All right, well, DracKen's starting to wall up. Both players walling up, so both players want to take this towards Castle Age, I guess. In Castle Age, the Britons have the cheap TCs, and they've got incredible eco with that, and then eventually they'll want to use the archers. Bohemians are normally all about Halb hand cannon or Halb bomber cannon. However, hand cannons don't feel exciting against Briton archers, and any form of infantry doesn't feel exciting against Briton archers. So what you'd probably want is you probably just want to rely on the cannons and then maybe skirmishers, but it just doesn't... It's not the type of game that you normally want, right? Maybe he needs to go... maybe he needs to go really aggressive. Are we going to see wagons? I think wagons are a very stupid unit, but they are actually really good. And I say they're a stupid unit because it doesn't fit Bohemian Civ identity at all. And the Bohemians didn't need another thing to, like, go all in with. But remember my video, The Bohemian Nightmare, and I had a few others right when Bohemians came out. That was back when the monasteries were cheap as well, right? So people were going for a lot of monks. But, like, the all-in wagon play, I know, like, the highest level players aren't doing it, but it is actually insane. Situations where, like, you can be down by 40 vills, but the wagon just can't be killed. But yeah, in theory, the way the wagon's supposed to work is it's supposed to be the complementary unit. Sorry, I can't speak. But it's like you're supposed to mix in wagons with your other military, which no one really does, even though it's easy enough to do. But then why would you have... My thing about it is, if that's the purpose of the unit, why even get elite? Like, why even... So it's like one hand they want a unit that you just mix in with other units, which is unique. I don't mind that. But then it's a unique unit, and normally you're making a lot of unique units. I almost wish that the Bohemian Wagon was like out of the Siege Workshop. Like a tank unit that was supposed to soak up fire. Like maybe it didn't do damage or something. But something that was designed to soak up fire from the Siege Workshop might be interesting. Yeah, if the wagons were to come out, that's a whole different conversation. I think it's far too slow. I think it's not something that's good on fortified clearing because of all the movement speed that you need. But we had time to talk about it, so I figured why not, right? Hera said wagons are the worst unit in the game. Yeah, well, Hera also said the 2 militia drush is bad and then died to it 3 separate times in a best of 5. So I don't... Hera's opinions are good, and for the most part, I agree with him when it comes to meta plays. But when it comes to off-meta stuff that Hera probably has never tried, I don't give him as much. And I'm not trying to sound too brutal. I cannot give Hera as much weight with anything that's not meta. I think that's not harsh, okay? Because there's, like, ACCM. You want to ask ACCM about it? Because that video I uploaded, he got all in, so... I think the wagon has its place in more so Arena. But, yeah, it's a bit of a weird place balance-wise. Also, how did DracKen get it? Oh, there's a hole! Whoa, wait a second. Oh, and there's no loom on this Vil. Oh, my God. Okay, Kingston, quick wallet. Oh! No way! What a save! What a freaking save, man. Now, hold on. This is really close. DracKen could win this fight. No, now he's going to lose it. Oh, man. Wait. Oh, the scout goes down. Okay, so that's still not great. And funnily enough... Well, actually, the villager still can't be one-shotted. But Kingston's confused. He's like, where's the hole? There's no hole there. And now he must realize that there's got to be a hole over there. That was a beautiful quick wall, though. Like, that villager should be dead. If I'm DracKen, I save the scout. Don't try and go for the Vil kill. What? You're crazy, man. You're both one hit. Oh! No. DracKen. I mean, to be fair... It was 2 hits versus 1 hit, and he snuck that 1 hit in, and I thought he would never do that. And then it was almost too tempting, because he'd worked so hard, and the opportunity was there. Jeez. It was an unloomed villager. DracKen had what could have been a free kill there, but he didn't try and really block. Like, sometimes you predict the quick wall around the corners, and you have to run to that spot before you get your next hit. DracKen probably doesn't face up against that quite as much because he does play more closed maps, so he might not be as used to the blocking of the quick wall. But still, got to give Kingston a lot of credit there. Still wasn't plug the gap, and DracKen's going to make scouts, but most likely DracKen will assume that gap is plugged, and he's going to add scouts towards the middle. This is basically arena for DracKen as far as he's concerned, so he'll add TCs most likely and compete for relics. And we actually have an archer range from Kingston. What? And he's still very uncertain on this. But he should know, right? I guess he has to confirm it before he sends a Vil. Yeah, he's going to see it now. He adds the house, and crisis averted for the most part here for Kingston. If DracKen loses this game because he can't scout, I'm going to be so pissed. Well, yeah, that was kind of my point, right? Is like, you don't need a lot of HP against monks. So I think it would have been more valuable. Even if you kill that Vil, you could argue it's more valuable to have that scout patrolling over here and checking relics. But, you know, again, I think he's down 2 games. There also, while there is prize pool on the line here, there's also that mindset of, I'm already promoted. So you might do some cheekier things and you might not play quite as safe here. I mean, it would have been epic if he sniped the villager too. So it was a 50-50 there near the end. But he now sees what his opponent's up to. So it's going to be crossbow spearman for Kingston. Choosing not to go for scouts and going crossbow spearmen. It drops his second TC right there. And there will be 3 TCs for the Britons. Guys, there's been a lot of talks amongst high-level names that that Britain TCs are too cheap. That if Britons came out today, people would be complaining about them as being OP. And I agree with that statement. I think that if the Britons were to have come out with like the Gurjaras and Hindustanis, I would be looking at the Civ like I do the Gurjaras and Hindustanis and saying similar things about how it's too much. I feel like there's a chance that the devs will eventually make the Britain TCs a little bit more expensive. I don't think that you could ever adjust their range. The range needs to stay forever and ever and ever. But there might eventually, I mean, then again, they might spend the next 2 years trying to figure out if they want to nerf the Gurjaras and the Hindustanis. But might eventually see the Britons have slightly more expensive town centers. I'm a little torn on it because with like classic civs, I'm more against change with the identity stuff, right? Like Chinese starting with more vills and 0 food, that's like pure identity. I don't want that to ever be changed, but you could maybe make like the text slightly more expensive, blah, blah, blah. I don't know, just something to talk about. I was just curious if you guys had input on that. Scorpion Edition from DracKen is very smart here because while the scouts are mobile and the scouts are going to be active on the map to try and pick off the monks, the scouts cannot engage against this until there's more help. And going for archer range and then getting your own units out would take too much time, but adding a few scorpions is very helpful. I wouldn't say that cheaper town like you can still have Britons have cheaper town centers, but having town centers that are like 120 wood, that's like, that's not just cheap. You know? So you could buff it, or not buff it, but you could increase the cost to like 180 wood. And I don't think a 60 wood difference with TCs would make a competitive difference, but I don't think it would make a difference for 99.9% of the player base. So again, I was just saying there's been some chatter. I don't know. I give feedback, but I've kind of lost faith in the whole process these days, so I just do my best and see what happens. Massive eco lead for DracKen. Again, because the TCs are so freaking cheap, but also because I think the scout build is better for your economy. A crossbow is more difficult to get to, as we have 3 TCs for Kingston now, but we now have a 4th TC coming up. And Kingston has been able to snipe some monks, but it just takes so long to get to the areas where you'd want to do that. But just passing here, as we see a Mangonel coming forward. So what I like about the crossbow play is not necessarily competing for the relics, which is actually going to be quite nice. But my favorite part about this whole play is how it gives you map control against Britons. This is sick. This is really, really good. And very rare. Nobody else does this. And now you could maybe consider a forward siege workshop. Like, DracKen's got to worry about this. Also, back to that 1 HP scout we talked about earlier. This bothers me so much. The fact that that scout could have been out here patrolling. Ugh. But again, I get it. He wanted that Vil pick. It's so easy for us to look back at those moments. The other thing, so let's look at their APMs real quick. So everything's looking pretty close here, but I bet you that it takes Kingston a lot more work to boom and control his army than it did just the scouts for DracKen. You can kind of see that in the farm count a bit. The micro has to be a lot more, or you just have to have better micro to be able to execute when you're playing with crossbow spearmen. And oh my god, the micro is good. Micro's down that Mangonel. DracKen has to think about unit composition now. Right now, it's just siege defense for him. But I think still opening Arbalest is fine. And he's going to add the ranges now. And his eco balance is looking really, really good. Also, I feel like whenever he gets his castle, it'll be well-timed. 4 relics for Kingston, though, which is what he set out to do. He's also getting relic on the left side. Here we've just got the Mangonel micro. DracKen's going to get a relic on the left side. And then we're going to have a stone wall from Kingston over here, as well as a relic being brought in. And now a siege workshop in the middle, which I love. Your economies are pretty big at this stage. I think even if the siege workshop eventually goes down, it's still something DracKen has to take out. It's still work for DracKen to push his advantage. And that's what DracKen will want, because he will likely be imp faster, but also because he won't have the relic count. Well, that was a really nice attack round from DracKen there. Okay, siege shot. Nice shot. Oh, man, nice shot from both players. But, like, DracKen would want crossbow control, and he would want a forward castle. And now look at that. DracKen's Scorpion's down. Now his Mangonel is being attacked by 2 spearmen, which is so frustrating. And now he's on his way to imp, but he doesn't really have control. Guys, the hype about Kingston's real. I told you, this guy's good on closed maps, and he's good on open maps. He's not just a pure Arabia player like a lot of these up-and-coming players are. He has had good success on Arena before. He now will see a skirmisher there from DracKen. Interesting. Opening skirms, just like the previous game. 6-1 with relics. About to be 7-1, if not 8-1. No, it'll be 7-2 is what it will end up being if this monk brings it back, and I think the monk will. And then there's a stone wall coming up here, which, if that's not denied, will mean that DracKen can't really move out to the right side either. And DracKen signals the outpost and says, bit early for that. Is that him making a joke about an outpost rush right now? I think he is, because there's 2 of them. MBL will build tons of outposts on people when they won't resign sometimes. It's kind of like a get out of my game sign. That's funny. Like, I'm not dead yet. Like, come on, man. I don't know how many people listening and watching right now were actually here for it. So on the Civ draft, here, I'll just tab to it real quick. DracKen's name is Mr. Platinum. He came into this series with a bit of entertainment in his veins. Ready to supply some content for the people, but as we see double outposts from Kingston here as well. I mean, that's just not an outpost rush, but still. He's on his way to imp. He's got good siege pressure. And DracKen arrives to imp, but doesn't necessarily have a lot here, so. Loom for Kingston. That's probably good if you're sending villagers out across the map. And now the siege will have, or sorry, the crossbows will have extra range, which means the siege will have less success. But notice where the army is. And this should be a stonewall area for Kingston. Like, you might lose your siege, but landing one good shot makes it more than worth it. Oof. And it's just buying you time. And he's building all his buildings in the middle now instead of in his base. This is really nice. The guys, DracKen is... He'll just get to this point where his army queue is insane. And whereas the previous game, he may have struggled to relocate to different areas of the map, in this type of game, like, just wait for the ranges to pop up. Yeah, look how many ranges he has. Like he goes through that cycle so perfectly where, oh, big shots incoming. Good micro from DracKen. Dang, that could have been bad for him. Impressive. But yeah, he goes through the proper cycle. Create villagers, create army, micro, and he's in a good position to flood the map with some army right now. That said, there's a lot of army from his opponent. And unfortunately for Kingston, he does get rocked in the face as I say that. He's still working on skirm upgrades, and he's going to drop a castle there. And DracKen sees that castle, so DracKen's going to have trebuchets. Definitely the time where having bombard cannons available is going to matter. I don't know, DracKen. Like, can you do it? If bombard cannons start coming out, they will take your trebuchets. Also, another shot's going to happen any moment now. Unless he wants to be patient with it, but I would be paranoid there if I were DracKen. DracKen's got a lot of food and a lot of gold, but he's not really spending it. Now I guess he's getting armor, but he doesn't have Arbalest yet. He might get the Werewolf technology, but while that's good, he only has one castle at the moment, and there's the shot. underneath the castle, too, and DracKen wisely hops into his castle, but that's what I meant. Like, it was coming, man. I don't know. 17 skirms versus 14. Kingston has bombard cannon and a treb already. Kingston has the relics. I think Kingston's going to 3-0 this, man. Hi, 290, first live stream. Hello, my friend. Welcome. We have another set after this, if this series ends up ending. And it will be between Sebastian and Ganji. I have lots of things to say there. But my goodness, I would not be loving life from a DracKen. I mean, you won the group, man. You won the freaking group. You're going to be in platinum. Congratulations, but this is your final set. Surely he wants to show a little bit more than this, as he's getting Werewolf now. Werewolf will mean the Briton trebuchets do not miss their shots. There's also a bit of splash damage, which could affect the skirms or the cannons. And Werewolf's at 70%, so you need to be careful if you're Kingston. He has to know Werewolf is what his opponent will go for, right? Okay. So DracKen trying to use the crossbows to snipe the cannons here. Wait for some big shots, guys. Werewolf is no joke. Any Civ can push this back. It would be the Britons. We talked about that earlier, but that's going to be a treb down. Great micro from Kingston. He will lose a cannon, but he takes out the treb. Just skirm, v skirm, v skirm, v skirm on top of that. The cannons will go in for the next treb. Not quite protected back here. DracKen has to repair, but he loses one. He also took out a bombard cannon and will take out another bombard cannon, so it's still very close. Love the Ram edition, by the way. I think capped Ram can make such a big difference here. It's just skirmishers and trebs. Neither of which does a lot of damage against Rams. And Bohemians don't get siege Rams, so you don't need a full commitment. Just spend 300 food for capped Ram and go at it. But another thing you need to pay attention to is your ranged units against the trebuchet. Also, you need to repair. Look at that. Kingston instantly repairs. And now his cannon's been targeted. But it was moving. So the first shot missed. He's got to move again. Oh, the Rams are soaking up shots. The bombard cannon now hits the skirms. Oh, God. This is so crazy. Oh, there's so many trebs there from the Britons. How has Kingston not lost more cannons yet? He's being so patient. And the trebs are all firing at different times. And no! No! Werewolf! Werewolf's insane. Now, the crazy thing about this, too, is that DracKen's basically out of stone. Like, his stone is right here. So if he were to lose even one of these castles, I feel like it's maybe even close to GG. But he continues this push, guys. And he will take out the trebuchet from Kingston and maybe push all of this, I think, anyways. Like, more Rams are on the way, but there's only 2 of them. Another cannon's on the way, but there's only 1 of them. And the trebs are just killing everything. The repair villagers are dying to it. I don't know if you can play this game. I don't know if DracKen's timed this either, by the way. But the fact that he's firing with his trebs all at different times is so good. It's such a smart thing. Because sometimes players will select all their trebs and fire at the same time. But hold on. Kingston's back. He'll take most of these trebs. This game continues to be all about the middle, but we have DracKen thinking about a light cav switch, which is something he's building very close to all this, actually, which will should show his opponent pretty early. I like the light cav switch. I don't like making the light cav before you have full armor, because now your opponent kind of knows, and your opponent doesn't get pushed back by this much at all. Like, watch. You'll see, like, how fast the light cav die without armor. Yeah. There's also quite a few bombard cannons there for Kingston, who's going to build a castle, which you could consider risky, but he has had stone. So he could actually use this castle to protect himself and protect his cannons. As I say that, he loses some cannons. But yeah, I think you repair this. And now the skirmishers cannot move out comfortably from DracKen. Also, Kingston's very close to being able to research the Hufnitze upgrade. But I don't know, like, maybe you don't do that here. Maybe you just use bombard cannons. Oh god, he's lost 1 cannon to castle fire. It's really hard for DracKen to get his trebs in the right spot. Like, here he's got it. So he's got that one. I don't know if the trebs can hit these cannons that easily. More upgrades are coming in for the light cav. But if DracKen loses this castle, he could be in big trouble, like we've been saying. And okay, another Treb goes after a cannon. That should be a kill. But can DracKen keep the castle up? Both players repairing. DracKen has another Treb that it looks like it's going to hit. And Kingston sees it because he's amazing. Has to back away with his cannons now. But now he's got a Treb. So now the Treb is further back where DracKen would have to move his Trebs forward. This is such a clowny game, man. Such an arena game for you. Like, it might not look like good micro, but both these players have had absolutely insane micro. It's just a different type of micro. It's like micro within a very tight space. Claustrophobic micro. I like the Halb edition as well. I mean, he basically had to choose between Halb and upgrades or upgrading his cannons. But if he upgraded the cannons and then lost them, it would look disastrous. Especially when you've got the relics. I think you just stay on Bombard Cannon. Make sure that light cap switch doesn't kill you here. And make sure you take out that castle. And there goes the castle. Kingston immediately clicks forward there on the Trebs. And it says, I'll take that Trebuchet, thank you. I'll take this Trebuchet, thank you. I'll take the Arbalest while I'm at it as well, because he's got cannons and he's got skirms. DracKen's in trouble. DracKen is in big trouble here. He's slowly run out of resources. He might not end up taking out this castle. Arbalests are dying and the Trebs are dying for DracKen, who's making more light cav and trying his best here, but he must be realizing he's losing this. And just as Kingston's about to run out of stone, he buys more so we can keep this castle up, guys. And if he just takes the Trebs, he's fine. Just needs to take the Trebs. Look how desperate DracKen is. He's trying his best to take out those cannons. He actually is taking out the cannons too. That's the thing. But the Trebs. Those Trebs will go down. Now the cannons. I think it was worth losing them. They back away. DracKen can't repair this. He also can't deal with the two Trebs now. Kingston's such a beast. DracKen's also got to be running out of gold here. He's got this gold, and he's got this gold. But he's kind of maxed out in terms of his army comp. Now, okay, actually, he far from that because he could still get more light cav upgrades. But his eco isn't necessarily there because he's been micring so much. And if you're not dominating the game with Trebuchets and Arbalest with the Britons, you know something has gone wrong, right? Kingston just pops out with more cannons. Takes out another Trebuchet. Man, this is sick. DracKen has not played bad today. And DracKen clearly has not played well in Titans League to be advancing out of it. But this Kingston guy's a beast. It's like a shit. Is just the perfect mix of patience with his micro and greed with his macro. Which is really what the best of the best do if you think about it, right? Like, it's a very Viper-esque thing. I mean, I know all the top players are kind of like that too, but having that balance is so difficult. And now I think he knows I'm about to win this one. And he's just going to take his time. And yeah, DracKen gives him the GG well played. Honestly, salutes go out to DracKen too. Because DracKen had an amazing game here, and he had a really good series. Brought us some good games, but Kingston 3-0s him. And so these games also do affect seeding a little bit for when we make the groups and whatnot for Platinum, right? So that, like, this puts Kingston a bit, like, more towards, like, that 17th to 18th spot. More specifics on that will eventually follow when Season 2 comes around. But DracKen's promoted. Amazing series from him here. Can't get past the beast from Mexico, Kingston, man. Remember, Kingston took games off of every single person he played against. Kingston was supposed to play Vivi to fight for his spot, which would have been a crazy series. It would have been a round of 12 set. But Vivi failed to show, failed to play. And so I was disappointed because I wanted the world to see Kingston earn that promotion spot. Vivi then didn't play. Kingston then moved on. We got to actually see what he was made of here. And who's to say he couldn't have done the same thing to Vivi, man? Because that was just quality stuff from him. I think the siege in the middle was textbook. Mixing in the additional siege slowed down DracKen's eventual push. And the fight was being taken here. Instead of DracKen having his castle here, pushing into Kingston's base, which I think did a lot. Taking the relics was awesome. Stonewalling the sides was also awesome. I just love how this guy plays the game. And I hope he can keep it up. Obviously, the next season won't be for like 5 or 6 months, right? So a lot can change in that amount of time, but usually there's not too much that changes, and players like him are only going to improve.